Okay, great. So we're recording now. We'll do the agreement when Sabah comes on. So yeah, I was sharing about the beach and the energy because we're in this space, as I think you guys are perceiving, where the infinite possibilities of the universe are available to us. And it's really up to us to figure out how much of those infinite possibilities we can channel into reality through our mechanism, through our systems, through our team, through our technology, through whatever. So that's really, if you think about it, that's what life is all the time. But it's a good way for us to look at what we're doing with the project right now. I want to, couple things. One, let me just think where I want to go with this. One, I got to have extended conversations with each of you, Maria last night with you and Mariana with you today. So I think that we're really all on the same page with the opportunity and with what we can create right now. And I think everybody's really energized and ready to really work really hard this week. So I'm really excited and encouraged by that. Hey, Sabah, how are you? Great to have you here. Hey, Sabah, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Great to have you here. Glad you could join us. We're going to do the agreement now. We were waiting. So can I get an affirmation from everybody with a thumbs up that we can share this video publicly? Great. Thank you, guys. Okay, great. So Sabah, I was just saying, we really have every opportunity in the world right now to make the most of this opportunity with the FDA advisory committee this Friday, but it's only 48 hours away now. So what can we realistically do in 48 hours? I'm going to have Mariana take over and share the meeting and get into the details of what we're going to do as an outreach team. But I want to just kind of set the stage for you guys in terms of, you might have heard me mention this in the past, especially when the Olympics were actually going, to think of our performances as like Olympic performances, like competitions, right? Like one week we're showing up for one race, and then the next week we're showing up for another race, and then races are bigger, and like this is the biggest right now, right? This is the biggest stage we have right now. So this is their chance to be, Olympic champion. What does that look like? It just looks like us performing at our peak level that we can, right? If you think about a performer, what does it look like? What do they have to do to actually race at like world competition level, right? Like they have to have everything right. Everything has to be right. If there's anything that's off, they're going to be so far off, right? To be that tuned in to be able to perform at the peak of what they're able to perform at. Like, how can we come even close if we think about it, right? But if we think about it in those terms, like, how am I performing if I was trying to be an Olympic athlete right now? If I was trying to compete at the highest level of what I'm capable of as a human, what would that look like? And this basically is our week for us to think of it that way and to see what is like the fastest we can run. What's the farthest we can run? Like this is our test right now of what we're actually capable of. We might have an idea of what we're capable of, but whatever we end up with at the end of the week is the reality of what we're capable of. So it starts with this team. And that's part of why I'm sharing this with you guys, is because this is really almost all like an outreach function, right? It's an outreach function to just be connecting with the FDA advisory committee and doing a presentation. That's very much outreach orientation of coming up with the content and putting it out there. But then we have all these other layers with how we want to share with the media and how we want to have the experts involved and all of these different aspects of what's available to us, as well as the public, right? We have an opportunity to connect with the public. We have an opportunity maybe to connect with some influencers, like I had mentioned Russell Brand a week or two ago about a potential person that if he appreciated the messaging that we were putting out. Like, that's the thing I was mentioning to Mariana today. We'll get into it just a little bit. I'm not going to keep talking too much longer here, but we're potentially, and that's what we have to talk about in this meeting, the tone and what we're going to focus on. Because right now, my inclination is to really take a whip to the FDA, to just really chastise them for the arrogance and inconsideration of the scientific community, to give them no opportunity to provide any meaningful input on all of this. It's shameful. It's so shameful. And the words that just came out of my mouth may be the very words that come out of my mouth in the presentation. And that's going to be significant, one way or another. Either the FDA will never want to have us back, or they will always want to have us back, or somewhere in between. But also, it has the potential to really go viral, that message. If there's nobody else really delivering that kind of impassioned message about how can you, keep saying to trust you when you're doing nothing to build trust in your process, right? We know what building trust in a process looks like. It looks like peer review. Nothing even, it counts without peer review. And what they're doing is without peer review at this point. So they're basically going against the scientific norm to just do something. How can they go home and look themselves in the mirror? It's what's going on here? So again, that's and what I just shared, actually, we can chop that clip and we can send that to the media tomorrow as part of our press release. And so this is exactly what we're doing right now, is we're figuring out what are we going to say? What do we have to say? How are we going to send it to people? How are we going to get people to get really what the hell is going on? And again, we have the fact that we submitted written comments that anybody on the internet can look up from the Moderna meeting back in, the Johnson & Johnson evaluation back in February, when I presented then, that we provided written comments to this effect. How can you be in alignment with science in doing this? So it's not like they weren't given a warning by us, as well as whoever out there also thinks that it's kind of ludicrous, which most scientists, you would have to think, would be, if not trying to fall on one side or another, just be, for science, right? For a scientific process, for a thorough review process. I mean, that's, again, the whole idea of the peer review concept, right? I think I've said enough for you guys to get, the meat of what we have here. We're not talking about just trying to show up just to be a part of the decoration or something. We have something to share that really is, in a way, it can be, earth-shattering in the sense that it can be news over all the network newses, over all the talk shows, just for this one concept of what is the FDA doing? How are they trying to gain our trust by repeatedly, month after month, after a year now, of this same compacted time schedule that allows for no realistic review of anything? It is totally out of alignment, and they cannot get on television anymore and say, trust us, if they don't change this. That's that can be our final message, is we are absolutely insisting that if the FDA wants to continue to ask for the trust of the public, then part of what we're asking for is that they go through a peer review process to allow the peers in the nation to review the same information that the FDA and the FDA Advisory Committee is reviewing, and give real, honest, thoughtful, collective information. And oh, by the way, we're building a system to collect all that information all the time about everything. and that's part of, where this leads to, for people and for where we're going. But again, I've really drilled into the core, juice of what is there for us, what we have to tap into. Now it's up to us as a team, as the outreach team, to really say, this is what we have to work with. We have this number of hours. We have all of these people, committed to all these different tasks. What do we need to do to make all this work? Okay, sound good? Okay, great. I've said enough. I'm going to let Mariana take it from here, but let me just say, are there any questions or any comments from you guys about anything I just shared? You guys want to mention what you think in terms of are you enthusiastic about this?
Oh yes, for sure. We're really excited, and it's going to be huge and really nice.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that the opportunity is landing. I know from our private conversations that you guys feel that way. I want the whole world to be able to understand that we get are embracing this opportunity. And here we go. Here's the best of what we're capable of as an outreach team and as Uniting for Action. So with that, please take it away, Mariana, and thank you. And thank you all. Let me give you guys some claps for all that we're here for and all that we're up to and all that we're committed to doing. Sabah committed to co-leading the whole presentation. So thank you, Sabah, for that. It's amazing that you are wanting to step up and take on that role. So that's awesome. And you're here and you're also on the research team to be able to bring the worlds together. So that's great. That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. Mariana, thank you.
Thank you, Jared. So I'm going to share my screen right now so we can... Wait, let me just see. Are you guys seeing something or no?
No, not yet.
All right. Because that's the first time I'm going to share my screen. So.
Congratulations.
All right.
So it looks like, Mariana, you're looking at a bunch of the different options, and you can choose one, but also if you have it maximize, you can just choose to share your whole screen all at once, which lets...
saying that, wait, let me see if it's this one. It's saying that I need to allow Zoom to share your screen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's open the general from my computer, the security and privacy, and I think that I need to
Yeah, you don't want to share anything private on the video, so you do want to make sure you're certain with that. Let's pause while we're working on this. Okay, great. Okay, so so here's the agenda for today. So first of all, did we establish the minute keeper? Do we know who that is for this meeting?
I was doing it last week, so I can do it again.
Okay, thanks, Maria. And we do want to set up a consistent, main person and backup, or it can be alternating if people want to alternate. But we want to set that up and have it be consistent. So let's think about that and consider that and see if we can figure that out by next time. Okay, so here's the sheet we've been working off of. And great. So Mariana, you've put in your hours now. That's great. So what we're doing, as you guys have seen, because we've all gone through this yesterday, is go through and have everybody put in their name and their hours. And so this is the area that, has been blank. And now Mariana has added that she's going to co-lead, which is great. And now we have to figure out, who's going to be in which parts for our media. So our media is definitely one part. I'm realizing, Mariana, that I'm actually giving the presentation now.
Yeah.
You wanted me to share, and I just started sharing. Do you want to talk everybody through it, or do you want to start at a different point, or where do you want to go?
Yeah. So regarding the responsibilities for the FDA presentations, I believe that we can like maybe decide right now, like how we're gonna like divide the work, especially for the, wait, let me just open my computer. For the seeking media attention, where Jared said that it's blank. So I put my name for like co-leader 1, and I believe that we can like decide like how we're gonna like do like the creating the press release, selecting media for contacting the media, managing media communications. So I think that's should be what we're gonna focus on to like get it done like maybe today or like tomorrow, so we can have that ready for Friday.
Yeah, here's the thing about it, which is a little challenging. It is, in theory, possible to send a press release to the press on Friday and have them cover it, because I'll be going at 11. Typically, they either, if they choose you, when they've chosen me in the past, they either want to interview me before the presentation, or they want to interview me right after the presentation and then run it, either at like 6 o'clock. I've had it run actually at noon when I did it in the morning. Then they ran something at noon last time. And then they ran something at 6 after that. And then sometimes it runs at 6 and then at 11. So anyways, the point I'm making is that we actually, in the past, what we've done is we've gotten the press release in earlier, at least a day earlier, and sometimes 2 days earlier. Ideally, if we had total amount of time, I would want to send the press release today to the press. But I think that there's a lot more of us getting our ducks in a row first before we start having everybody show up. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in my mind right now, just to let you guys know in general, is that I was thinking, we need to start letting the experts know right away that they can do this with us and they can do that with us. But right now on the website, there's not much for the experts to really see about what we're doing with the Experts for Action. I even want to create like the 3 to 5 minute Experts for Action video that I've been thinking about for a long time, to actually even create that today, if I can, to have that, as part of what the experts can see on the website tomorrow. I think it's going to make a really big difference whether there's a 5-minute explanation video for them to understand what this is all about, or there's not. If we don't have that, it's tough for them to really get what this is all about right now. So, and it's not just for the Experts for Action. I'll get into it later in the agenda, because I put it into the agenda, the other videos that I'm working on right now and working to have ready by tomorrow if possible. So we'll see. Okay, Mariana, you want to continue? Which part would you like me to show again?
No, I can continue. So I also see like in the FDA presentation that Maria, she put it that she's going to be like the co-leader for engaging with experts. And I also put
can I have you pause for just a second, Mariana? I just want to say, in this case, when you're like looking at something, I think it helps, at least for me, for us to be able to look at the same thing that you're looking at. So just as a general rule for anybody doing, talking. So if you don't mind, I'll share what you're talking about. You're looking at the sheet still, right? So
the FDA presentation.
Yeah. So where are you at? Which number?
Yeah, I'm looking on number 9.
Okay, great.
All right. So I believe that's also another thing we can be working right now. And number 11 also, because like as Jared said, like in our agenda, we should be reaching out to the experts, and with the email, when we should like decide like the content that are gonna be like in the email, and like what we're gonna do like to those that reach out to us and those that doesn't like doesn't respond or don't say anything. So I think like that should be what we're gonna focus on.
That's great. Yeah, I really appreciate that, Mariana. I agree that as the outreach team, our first function this week has to be the actual interaction with those outside of us. And we have to, do our best to make that work. That interaction has to work where we get the win-win that we're looking for with whoever we're interacting with. So yeah, I agree with you, Mariana. That's the first thing, especially when it comes to the media and the experts and anybody that we can really have a beneficial long-term relationship with. We really need to start developing a really nice relationship and a really nice rapport with them, right? So that's like the first kind of fundamental thing for us, is just to be nice and friendly and all of that. I hadn't really thought of it before, because I usually think about it for the executive team, but I need to have each one of you, I need to strongly urge you to listen to the How to Win Friends and Influence People audiobook. So I'm going to make a note, because I'll send the link to you guys later. But it's kind of like a Bible for me of how you relate to people and develop rapport and have rapport and all of those sorts of things. So I think, let me make a quick note here. Okay, so having said that, do you mind if I jump in on the agenda for a moment, Mariana?
Yes, don't worry.
Okay, thanks. So with what Mariana just said, I thought of a bunch of more specifics of how we get into the answers, the questions and the answers, basically. So we're reaching out to the experts. So one thing we have to figure out is, what are we asking the experts to do, which is a little bit difficult for us to answer right now, because the answer essentially, if you recall, is here, which is figure out ways to include the experts. And we're working on ways to have polls and interviews and panel discussions and hosting content and all. So we have like a menu of things that we may want to be able to do with them, but we don't even really know exactly what we're going to do with them yet, really. It's almost kind of like, what do they want to do? And, what's the most demand? We're kind of in the flow of just, kind of offering, I guess we can offer all of it as possibilities. I guess that's what there is for us to do. And then for us to, be able to fulfill it. We just have to make sure that whatever we're offering is something that we can fulfill. But I think then we're going to have to kind of come up with an answer for this by the end of this meeting, I believe, because I think as a team, we have to kind of have an idea of what our like main message is. So we'll come back to that. How many emails will we send them before the presentation? So I'm imagining that if we're just cold calling, emailing them, so we haven't had any contact with them yet, we've pulled their email address from the articles that we've been processing. So you guys know, I know Maria and Mariana, you guys haven't seen the research team in action, but I think you've heard in the different team meetings that we've been pulling all these experts out of these articles and booster experts. So we should have a good number of people to send emails to as soon as we're ready. Let's say, just for rough numbers, I haven't looked it up, I'll look it up soon, but let's say for rough numbers, it's like 100, but I think it's probably more than that. That we then, so let's say that we're sending them an email like first thing tomorrow morning. Because I think, again, I was thinking we needed to get an email out to them this afternoon and give them time and all of that. But again, I think we really need to have like a whole new website by tomorrow, basically, and these new videos. And as much as we can of this new great stuff I want to have there, because I think it makes all the difference right now in terms of, you know, the ways people perceive us and understand us. And I think, you know, we're going to do our best to have a whole new face as much as we can tomorrow. So given that context, you know, what is the email content that we're going to send them? What's the actual email going to say? What are we going to send them? What we sent to the FDA to show them exactly, you know, this is what we applied with, this was our application, and then we got approved. So, you know, we're putting together a presentation that's going to be something like this. Do you have any comments that you want to make, or do you want to put it, you want to participate in any way in what we're doing? And then also it was brought up at the meeting last night that perhaps sending a draft of our presentation in progress to them, saying, do you have any suggestions? Do you have anything you want to add? You know, that sort of thing, that they could be interested in that. And then also, is there any research that we've done that we want to send them, and any of the things that we've done to show them the work that we've done? And then channels, you know, we'd have to, again, get the presentation a bit nicer than it is now, but do we want to show them the way that we have the channels organized already with the different channels of information and the experts? I'm not sure if we're ready. This is the challenge, is that, excuse me one second. We have to be very cautious. We have to be cautious at this moment in our evolution, where we don't have a lot of resources devoted to the website right now. So we don't have a lot of like fine tuning, you know, little things here and there. And we would need people to really understand, if we're listing all of those experts that we have listed right now in our channels, that people really need to understand that none of those people have endorsed this platform. None of those people are using this platform. None of those people, you know, have, you know, authorized anything. What we're doing is we're simply collecting information and showing the collected information that's associated with each one of these experts. And we have to have our languaging really clear and all of that on our site. We have to think about whether that's something that we can even do, you know, by this weekend, and whether we want to aspire to that within the next 48 hours. So let me make a note of that, because that's important. But you guys see the, you know, it takes just time and attention just to, you know, get down to all those nitty-gritty details and put it here on the website and put it there on the website. And I'm just not sure we have time to do that in the next 48 hours. Let me put that on the list here. I think as I'm writing this, that we have to, because I think we have to show how we've collected all this information and how we've organized it. So I think that we do have to show that this is just demonstrating the functionality of the system. And then we just have to have like very bold wording that, you know, this person has no affiliation, has no anything. It's just, here's the articles that we've found that quote that person, type of thing, right? So almost, again, almost like being like a Wikipedia service type of thing, you know, that's just collecting the information and sharing the information. So, okay, we talked about that enough. Let me go back into what we were looking at here. The research, the channels. So then we have the one-page flyer that we had developed, that you guys have seen. We developed a couple months ago. So do we send that out? And then video links, you know, and which ones? And again, part of that depends on what which videos if we have more new videos ready by tomorrow. So will so any questions about any of these things and all that we're considering here? Because as I shared with Mariana this morning, what we're doing right now in this 1 hour is just the start of the process for us, because as a team right now, we have 28 hours between all of you, which is great. And just so we all know, so Maria has 10 hours and Mariana has 16 hours and Sabah has 2 hours towards what we can do as a team for the outreach team this week. And besides Sabah's 2 hours here, she's heavily invested in the FDA. That's where a lot of her other hours are. So she has even more hours essentially available to us here. So we have to figure out, again, what's going to be the best use of our hours, and how can this just be the start of a process for us. I think maybe part of what we're going to do in this meeting is see when our windows of availability are over the next couple of days, so that we can see the times that we can all be working together online and going over things together. So I think, let's, towards the end of the meeting, let's remember to do that. Let me put that on our agenda so that we can really maximize our time. See, we have a lot more agenda to get through. We're gonna have to speed up. Okay, so any questions or comments about any of this stuff? It's pretty straightforward. It's just I'm trying to lay out all the different options. And if you guys think of any other options as well, then you can just add them in here. Okay, so then one question in front of us is, will there be any follow-up phone calls to people who don't respond to emails, or only communications with those we hear back from? Part of that may be just based on volume. Like if we're hearing back from tons of people, then we don't need to make any outside phone calls. But if we're not hearing back from anybody, then we might start making a bunch of phone calls, something like that. So I guess we're going to kind of have to see a little bit. And we'll also have to see how many emails we have to send. And if we are proactively calling, how do we decide who to call? So that's another thing. Is there going to be any kind of looking over the list to see who's the best in some way, or something like that? When we do hear back from people, what is our procedure to set up Zoom meetings, phone calls? You guys, when we get into our availability, we'll have to talk about, when you're available to be on Zoom calls or take phone calls, or, because we'll have to kind of balance all of that over the next couple of days, or divide it up, I should say. So then, reaching out to the media, there's a little bit more, but I just put, press release and then who to reach out to. We'll get into more of those details too, quickly. And then the new video content. So here's the top 5 breakthroughs. Oh, I thought, so they got cut off. Oh, is that all that's there? You have to tell me, is this the worst image that they gave me 3 choices? I've never seen them give you the same 3 choices and have a worse choice that I have no choice. I have to have this terrible face of mine here. But let me show you guys this video. So this is the video. I'm not going to show you the whole video, but I want you guys to see where I'm going with our content now. I'm trying to, you'll see. I'll just let you guys watch a little bit. Uniting for Action is setting a course for us to sail to a much brighter future than the one we're headed towards now. In this video, we're going to show you our top 5 breakthrough systems that together will allow us to create the best future we're collectively capable of. Coming in at number 5, and perhaps our most intuitive and obvious solution, channels. If you want any information about anything, wouldn't you like to just change the channel to the channel of information you're looking for? With all the articles, videos, research, and data all in one place? Of course. It's what most of us have been dreaming for during the whole pandemic, just to know the answers to questions about the virus, masks, vaccines, and on and on and on and on. But it's not enough just to have everything in one place. We also want to know what information we can trust and what recommendations we should follow. And that's where our number 4 breakthrough comes in, our Experts for Action platform. This is where you can find what all the different... So you guys are kind of seeing what I'm doing there now, and I'm interested in your feedback right in this moment, since I still haven't edited yet. I think that I'm even going to reshoot that, but I think I'm going to start doing some editing around that, because have any of you seen any of these like top 10 programs where they're showing like top 10 engineering marvels or top 10 breakthrough technologies? Or have you guys seen any of those programs? I'll have to pull one up and send you a quick recording. But what I'm seeing, the way that where I'm going to edit this, and I need to talk to the production team about this, is like for each one of those numbers. So it's top 5 breakthrough technologies, is the way we're promoting it as a video, right? So what we're doing is we're getting across the information we want, but we're getting it across in a consumable way, in a sense, that rather than just like kind of dryly telling them our systems do this, and we have this, and we do this, it's like, top 5. So then, for each one, it's kind of like you see the number, and then there's like a big like color explosion behind it, and then another, and then like another one, and like, so it's like boom. And so it's 5, and then 4, and then you do the countdown at the end. So before we get to number 1, let's remind you, number 4, number 3, number 2, and now number 1. And so it's the packaging of the content, right? We're packaging the content in a way that we're trying to make it more engaging and interesting for people, and also tell the story of what we have to tell in terms of why this is important and why people should support it. So unfortunately, we don't have more time today to talk about it, because we do have to keep focusing on the FDA stuff. But I'm editing this now, and I'm about to put it out, and it's going to be evolving, and we're going to have lots of different kinds of ways that we're going with this. And the outreach team is going to be much more involved than the ones going forward. It's just that obviously right now FDA is kind of taking precedent. So let me go back in. Anything that any of you want to say, any comments about what you just saw in the video? Thoughts?
I think that what you said, like the colors, like the countdown is going to be like really nice, and people are going to like pay attention. So I think it's a great idea.
Thanks. Okay, good. Yeah, I want to, you want to say anything, Maria, about the production side? Yeah, go ahead, give us a comment.
No, yeah, that I think that is a good idea, actually, what you just mentioned. And yeah, as Mariana said, I think that it will be really entertaining for people like to see that, to keep attention, to keep, listening to it instead of getting their heads out of that. So yeah.
That's the thing. And I know we don't have the people on the team yet. We want to start recruiting these people very soon. And actually after this week, I want you guys to start working on the job descriptions, the job postings, to recruit people that we want for some of these higher level production things, because I think when we can add a bunch of production flair to what we're doing and to have like coolness to it, I think it's going to be really effective. that combined with the authentic side of what we're going to be doing, I want to show you guys a little something. I see we're getting close to 12. We still have a lot to cover. Do any of you guys have a hard cutoff at noon Eastern, or can you go a little bit longer if we need to? Yeah, everybody's okay. Let me show you this, because this also is going to start to be a part of our regular activities in the outreach team. Let me just kind of bring us back to where part of where our conversation was before the FDA showed up, is that, you know, we're going to be taking all of this raw content and processing it into videos really efficiently, like we talked about. With already thinking about that, I've already begun to start recording most of the time when I'm going to the beach in the morning, which is, you know, usually like around 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that, that I am talking at that point, and just I'm starting to record now. Normally I'm just thinking, maybe writing some notes, but I'm starting to record more now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to give those recordings to you guys raw. And when I say you guys, actually, this is a micro task that we're going to be able to put out there. Here's one. Yeah, these two are two that you guys are going to be processing. So let me just show you. But also beyond just processing, I'm getting to the point where I'm imagining like creating, well, I have personal channels, just not using them, but actually like posting these like on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and that sort of thing, and almost have it be like every day I'm putting out raw content, which is the raw content that we're actually processing in the business into, you know, different things that we're doing. But just to give you an idea, we jump to the middle. Because this is all just like raw, you know, right in the middle of my thoughts.
Have a win-win situation where you exist in a world of infinite possibilities. So in a world of infinite possibilities, there are a lot of possibilities that involve win-wins for every scenario. Simple as that.
So that's an example where, again, what I'm talking about there is win-wins, and how everything that we build is based on win-win scenarios, that we're always looking for win-wins with whoever we're working with, whatever stakeholder. And we design our systems to provide win-wins for everybody, so everybody can feel satisfied and happy with the outcome, right? And so what I was saying basically in that video is that we're going to be setting the standard that's going to be soon. It's going to be very hard for anybody to actually have a win-lose scenario, because what I was saying is, in an infinite world of possibilities, you know, you can always find the way to have a win-win. And it's going to start to be intolerable that anybody's walking away with a win-lose, and anybody will stop wanting to work with those people that are creating win-loses and only work with those people and companies that are creating win-wins, right? So this is a really interesting concept that I'm sharing conceptually, but then when we combine that with all of our technologies and all of our systems, now we start to actually create like this hyper evolution of the world towards that scenario that I just described. So what I just described could slowly evolve over 50 years, 100 years, you know, but what we're doing is we're actually building systems to have the world evolve in that way in 5 or 10 years, you know, where like there's no place left for the negative consequences options. You know, everything has to be positive and creative and all that. So anyway, I'm sharing that because, again, there will soon be a lot of flow of information from me to you and into the world. And this is going to be a whole nother counterbalance to the highly produced side, because we're going to have all of this high production and all of that. And then we're going to have all of this like Jared walking on the beach, you know, talking into his phone stuff as well. So it's going to be an interesting mix and an interesting dynamic, as well as like here, you know, where every time I'm seen in the meetings, it's with my hair back and, you know, in my tie, not my tie, but my shirt. And then, you know, and then there's the contrast, you know, when you see me walking on the beach and talking, and then my hair is all flowing and I'm in this, you know, it's a whole different atmosphere. So again, I think that it's going to be interesting for us as the outreach team to be able to play with these different dynamics, and not just for me, but any of you can become an actor in our, you know, production here, basically, right? So you get to choose, you know, what you want your role to be. We all get to choose that. There's a lot of different ways that we can go with all of this, but I'm just sharing all of this with you guys now because this is all the context within which we're operating this week, right? So I just want you guys to have all of this in your head as we're making all these decisions and figuring out what we're doing with the media. So just as an example, a family friend is a reporter with NBC6 down here in South Florida. So, and I just saw her about a month ago. And I, you know, so I'm going to reach out to her and see, and she had forwarded our information that had resulted in a story being done the first time in December, which was great. And so we may, you know, I want to talk with her about the bigger picture of what we're doing, but also see if NBC6 will cover what we're doing, you know, on Friday, and if other stations will cover what we're doing on Friday. But anyway, I'm giving you the whole broad part. Let's go back into what we need to focus on in terms of creating our responsibilities going forward and covering everything. So you saw the top 5 of the breakthroughs. What they are channels, experts for action, collective strategic solutions, open source projects, and nano actions. I'll explain all those in more detail later, because basically what I'm going to do is the top 5 breakthroughs that you just saw is maybe going to be like a 7-minute video right now as it stands, something like that, 7-8 minutes. I'm going to take each one of those concepts and make like a 2 to 3 minute video about each one of those concepts. And each one of those concepts will have its own web page. And it's not just those top 5. We actually have probably 10 to 20 breakthroughs that we're working with right now. You know, just as an example, another one is the whole, you know, integration with the interns of America, and where we're going to go with that, like how we're going to start to be this big attractive force for all of these interns working in all these things to be able to manifest all of this, that it's just going to be a period of, you know, months before we're into the hundreds or into the thousands, you know. So that's a whole big breakthrough, right? For society to have essentially the rising, you know, youth of America, fresh with creativity and inspiration and motivation to be working together to address all of our challenges around the world all at once. Like, that's pretty amazing, right? So like, that's a whole nother breakthrough, right? And we got all of these different breakthroughs that we're packaging together. And, you know, we'll keep sharing all of that, but this is where we're at right now with our top 5, to start getting the sense across to people that we're a big deal and that they should support what we're doing, right? That's essentially the messaging that we're coming up with here. Okay, getting our website more built out with content. So we have to think about what content do we need to put on the website that's just going to support us for the FDA presentations, like the different articles and the different videos and all the different reference things and the slides and just everything that we have to get up to support. And then also this new content that I shared, I have a different web page for each one of these. And then that takes us to the end of what I wanted to cover. Mariana had put how to reach more experts, and I'm not sure exactly where you want to go with that, so I'll let you do that. But also, before, I'll just mention, we're also going to take time to put down our windows of availability, like I said. And then I think as much as we can, as much as we decide we want to, we'll go back and start narrowing in again on on responsibilities, in particular, for the media and for the experts down here, and we'll get all of our hours sorted out through here. That works for you guys, and then kind of figure out some of the rest of it. So does that sound like a good plan? Okay, great. So Mariana, you want to mention your thoughts around how to reach more experts?
Yes, so when I wrote down on the agenda how to reach more experts, I was actually referring like to the emails, like how we're gonna send the emails and like what we're gonna say in the emails, like the content and everything. So I think that we should like figure it out. Like we should create like a sample, like a draft of like emails of like the content that we really want to share, so we can like review and actually send them like sooner. So
yeah, that's the thing. I think, you tell me, but my thought is that we need to send our emails out like kind of like 4 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. I want to get the emails out before anybody checks their email the first time in the morning. I want our email to be in people's inboxes whenever they check their mail for the first time tomorrow, so that we have that chance of being seen by them. At least we know that, who's ever checking their email, that they're going to see our email at some time tomorrow. And then, and that's why I think, if we sent it out at 10, if we sent it out at noon, or who knows, where people are in their days or whatever. So I think we have to get it out by then. So I think then we need to start working backwards to say, okay, so when do we need to have a final draft, and what are all the pieces we need to have, and what needs to get done? Because there's definitely a lot. That's, what we're talking about is still only 16 hours away right now. So there's still a lot to get done between now and then. So yeah, I think you're right with that, Mariana, in terms of figuring that out. So yes, we'll figure that out. And we just need to keep in mind again that our time frame is tight for today. You guys want to finish up this first, and then we'll see what time it is, and we can either stop the meeting then, or we can continue with some more stuff if we still have more energy. That sound good? Okay, cool. So I think let's go to the top just to keep it all in context. So one thing I wanted to share with you guys, because I added these people here today just to look at everybody, but Isatu, and Cassidy and Tatiana all only have hours towards the business team and or the recruitment team. And so it made me realize that the business team and recruitment team do both have very little, to do with what we're doing. It really is more of the outreach, production, and the research teams. So, so I'm not expecting any hours to come from Isatu, Cassidy, and Tatiana, although what I thought I would suggest to each of them is that each of them put at least an hour in somewhere so that they could feel a part of the whole FDA presentation process if they want to. So that's what I'm planning to say to them, and give them the opportunity. And James, as you guys know, is actually doing a presentation on Thursday. So he's putting in his hours that way. I just wanted him to kind of figure, put it in himself here. So he'll do that. So we've got the creation of the slides that we can see who's working on that. Thank you, Sabah, for working on that. So that's, one of the first pieces. I think actually, I didn't think about this yesterday, but I think that we need to, well, actually, now that I think about it, I had put creating the slides first because we needed to turn those in first. But now that that deadline is passed, we really need to compose the presentation first and then create the slides from the presentation. So, so composing the presentation, Katie, thank you again, Sabah, for being in the lead on that. And then me, and then we've got the others, including Maria. Thank you, Maria, for going in on that as well. That's great. And so now we have creating the slides. Katie, Alexis, thank you again. Sabah, it's awesome. and then delivering the presentation. So I sent an email to the FDA. I talked with Katie yesterday, and we realized that probably be better for her to present the portions of the presentation that she authored in the application. She wrote half the application for us. So so I sent an email to the FDA to see if they would be okay with that. So we'll have to see if they let her take half of our 5 minutes. Okay, seeking media attention. So now let's dig into this here. So okay, so Mariana co-leading, awesome. Thank you, Mariana. We still have another co-leader. Is it safe to say, Maria and Sabah, that you guys are at least supporting team members, if not a co-leader?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll figure out the exact hours that we're going to put in these places. And then, so creating the press release. So there's so much to share, and we're already at noon. I want to give you guys details. You guys tell me, because again, we've talked about how much time we need to spend between now and Friday. I can keep going if you guys have time and give you more and more details, so we have more of the details to work with. Do you want me to go into that level of detail, like to actually show you what we sent out the first time around and the second time around and that sort of? I really need to go to that level of detail, right? So let's do that. Mm-hmm. So it was very interesting because the what I ended up sending the first time in December. So just to give you guys the whole timeline. So December 10th, I believe it was the Pfizer presentation to the FDA advisory committee. So before that presentation, as you know, there was no approved vaccines yet. So it was that night, when the advisory committee approved it. And you may recall there was still a technicality that the FDA, itself as an organization had to approve it based on the advice of the advisory council. But it was widely, believed that if the advisory council gave a thumbs up, then the FDA was going to approve it. So, so it was essentially that night that, the news was saying, now there's an approved vaccine, right? And then you guys saw the news that we got, or that ran on us that day. I want to show you, let me find it here. I want to show you, let me, I'm gonna go get my external hard drive to show you guys the video that I don't think I can show you any other way than showing it to you that way. Is that cool? So, okay, I'll be back in like 2 minutes. It won't take me that long. I'll be right back when we pause the video. Okay, we're recording again. So what I was saying is we need this video I'm about to show you. I don't think it's published on YouTube anywhere, which is why I had to get this. And I actually have to show it to you through Final Cut Pro, I believe, because I don't think that I've closed some things here. What was I showing you here? Here is where I was going to show you. Let's do this first. Show you the first email that we sent out. And this was sent December. find see if I can find it this way. Probably pause the video while searching. Okay, you're recording again now. Hold on 1 second. Okay, what I was saying is that this is the presentation, the slide presentation from December, and I mentioned how we were focusing on holding, saying that public trust is necessary, and that there's widespread concerns, and really the FDA needed to help allay those concerns, and was giving them guidance as to how to do that. And then here's what we were doing with the processed articles and transcripts. So to show you that, let's see how we can get to it. That's not it. I'm gonna have to find it some other way later and share it with you guys. The let me see where I have the transcripts process to show you. Okay, so these are the things I'm gonna have to look up offline and then show you in like a video that I'll send to you. I don't want to take our time now with me looking for stuff, and we've already taken too much time with me looking for stuff. So let's go back to what we were talking about and where we started with all of this. So one, let me make some notes about collecting and sharing past stuff with you. Okay, and before we went off on that tangent, I was showing you the press release. That's where we wanted to focus on, right? The press release, since that's what we're getting into. Yeah, did I come back to the right place? All right, so, okay, so here's where it's an internship. We're sending all these internship emails at the same time. That's amazing. Okay, so you know what? I think now that I think about it, I think I put it into a folder at some point. I think I pulled out media at some point. There it is. It is. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So here's the original email to Julia. And then she suggested that I forward to somebody else, and then it started this conversation. I'm trying to see. So here's, where I was sending some links and some information. I want to show you where from this I had something a little bit more formalized, but now let's see it here. Okay, so this is what I sent to the Sun Sentinel. So I think this is, let's look at these other ones. Yeah, so you can see the template that I was using then basically, and it really wasn't a press release at all, right? It's just, hi CBS4, I'm going to be one of the select people giving an oral presentation to the FDA Advisory Committee meeting on behalf of a project I created called the Vaccine Considerations Project. This is the meeting where they'll be advising whether the FDA should grant an emergency use authorization for the Pfizer vaccine. Presentation tomorrow is part of a much bigger story that I think would be worthy of reporting the progress on as our team quickly grows. I've assembled a team of University of Miami graduate students I've been working with over the past few weeks and on. And so then it gets into, and then I shared the information, and here's the matrix of the concern. So now I can click on it and show you guys. But this is, I was doing it more conversational because it worked with NBC6. And then I was like, okay, well, that worked. I guess I'll just send it. At some point, one of the people I sent it to said that your press release was very effective. And we didn't send a traditional press release. This is what we sent. So it was very interesting that that person said that to me. And I think actually that was at the station WSVN that did the big feature that I showed you. So while I'm mentioning that, let me go back. Yeah, see, then I went ahead and started doing more stuff like that, where I was sending detailed emails to them with a bunch of links to a bunch of different things. So it was being kind of a hybrid between an email and a press release. And that did, you see this, and then all the information with all the different links and that sort of thing. So these were the models for what we used before. So I think what I need to do is like forward these to you guys, right? So you've got all of them on hand to look at as samples. So let me make a note of that. Okay, and 1 second. Okay, so let me share with you the video here, and then let's get back to the roles. Let's see what roles we can define for each other, and then we can keep sharing more details if you want, but I want to make sure we get all of our roles defined. So let me share the video that I got my hard drive out for. So this is a like a sizzle reel. You guys familiar with that term? Basically like a highlight reel of our press that we got. And I'm gonna see if it's exported. I feel like it should be exported. Nope. Okay, so let me go into it. Yeah, I want to share this with you guys because at this point, I think you've all only seen the WSVN video in terms of the media coverage, right? So I want you guys to see the other, clips from some of the other media coverage, in particular, some of the coverage from WSV, or not WSVN, but NBC6, where they actually interviewed me with the woman in the studio, the anchor in the studio. So let me find that real quick there. Let me stop sharing for a moment. Find it real quick. So let me hear what you guys have to say, your thoughts while I'm pulling this up here.
I think it's pretty interesting. And I think like all these emails are gonna like help us to like build the ones that we need to send this week.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's really important.
Good. I appreciate that. It's helpful. What else do you guys think? Let me hear some feedback from Sabah, Maria.
Yeah, as I said, I think that is really like interesting. That is what will let us like reach more people, which is what we need. Because it's basically like the goal of this project. So yeah, I'm very enthusiastic about that.
Great. Awesome. Sabah? Have we lost Sabah? We're not hearing you, Sabah, if you're talking. All right, we'll come back to you, Sabah. So let me share with you guys what I'm looking at here. And this is what I wanted to show you. So this is just going to be quick cuts between, the different coverage that we had, just so you can see all the different stations and all the different coverage that we've had. Most of it around the first time in December, but some additional coverage in March.
South Florida man as the ear of the Food and Drug Administration, ahead of a vote that's expected to be a game changer in the fight against the virus.
Jared Rupnick, founder of the Vaccine Consideration Project, says that all depends on what comes at Thursday's meeting.
Yeah, there's a lot of hesitancy around it, and there's a lot of issues.
Rupnick and his team of doctors and 10 graduate students are just one of 21 groups who will present a wide range of concerns to the FDA Advisory Committee, with hopes they are considering everyone's well-being before making their decision.
We all want the promise of the vaccine, really just a matter of can it be done in a way that health and safety is being put at the forefront.
A group called Vaccine Considerations took some questions and concerns that have come from people. Take a listen here.
We went ahead and dissected the entire transcript and identified all the specific concerns. A couple of them being, for example, if 2 months was long enough to observe the vaccine, or if authorizing an emergency use authorization might actually blow up the trials because other placebo recipients would ask for the vaccine.
So yeah, these are all considerations that they took to the FDA's meeting that's happening right now. You can hear more of my conversation tonight on the NBC 6 News at 7. Okay, many people are concerned about the vaccine.
So that was the thing also with NBC, is that they created a bunch of teasers for us. So they teased like at noon, they teased like at 6, they teased like at 6:30, which was really cool. So that was one teaser that you just heard. And now here's another separate teaser that they ran on a different, half-hour program. And then you'll see a little bit more of the interview.
And coming up next, I actually talked to a local man who's helping people figure it out with a group called Vaccine Considerations. That's next.
People that are being offered those different vaccines really need to understand that from the beginning, not just here, oh, it's all the same, so whatever I get, it's the same. It's not the same scientifically.
So that was an interview clip from the Johnson & Johnson, which was in February. So what you were seeing before was from December. This was just a quick clip from February.
And they need to be told that information.
And that's really important, that you guys see and hear the message I was getting across in February, because it was a very poignant message. Let me let you hear it again.
Not just.
Coming up next, I actually talked to a local man who's helping people figure it out with a group called Vaccine Considerations. That's next.
People that are being offered those different vaccines really need to understand that from the beginning, not just here, oh, it's all the same, so whatever I get, it's the same. It's not the same scientifically, and they need to be told that information.
The South Florida advocate for vaccine transparency told the FDA today they should make the difference clear to the public, especially
if one family or one community is receiving one vaccine that is less effective than the other vaccine in preventing the transmission or the spread of disease.
With me now is Jared Krupnick. Mr. Krupnick, thank you so much for your time. You're the founder of Vaccine Considerations. What are some of the concerns being brought to your attention that then you are passing on to the FDA?
Yeah, thank you. Our presentation today for the FDA Advisory Committee was breaking down their
So it goes on, but you get the idea of it, and you see the variety of it, and you see, the different clips. So again, this is our opportunity now, is if we can go ahead and, replicate that similarly, can we go ahead and have, 3 different news stations cover us, this time, and have new, media coverage and that sort of thing. So it's definitely within the realm of possibility. What it comes down to essentially is it comes down to how compelling whatever we send to the stations are for them to want to make a story out of it. So that's part of what I realized the second time around. Once we got all that great coverage the first time around in December, and I had developed some relationships with the people, I was like, oh, great. February, I just need to get to them early. I sent them emails, I think like 3 days in advance, and I was following up 2 days in advance. I was like, okay, they're going to know this is coming. They're going to have it on their calendar. The thing is, what they do, what all stations do, as I've learned through this process, is they have a staff meeting between like 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning each day. And it's during that time that they look at all of the stories that have come in, overnight, or that have been carrying on or whatever. And that's where the editors decide which reporters are going to get assigned to which stories and who's going to cover what. And then they all go out and do their shooting. And some of them are designated for noon, and some of them are designated for 6, and some of them are designated for 11. But basically, either they decide in that one staff meeting, that early morning meeting, that you're going to be part of what they're going to do that day, or you don't exist anymore after that, basically. So it's kind of, we need to make sure that they have our press release before that time. But what's even better is, again, if we can talk to somebody. So that's why we really want to get our press release to them tomorrow. Tomorrow, if we can. We pretty much have to get the press release to them tomorrow, and then basically, be able to have a conversation with them. We want to get the press release to them actually early enough that they can discuss it in that staff meeting. Because what they can do is they can say, hey, this looks really interesting. This isn't going to happen until tomorrow, but let's put this on our maybe list. Because again, they never know what, crazy thing could happen in the news, or what national stories, whatever. So they don't really know for sure. They can say, hey, it looks pretty decent, as long as we don't have some, but they never know what's going to drive the news cycle, that day, until that day, basically. So we just have to kind of get in their ear early enough. We have to have an interesting enough angle that they want to cover it. That was the thing, is that we didn't have an interesting enough angle in February for most stations. We got that little bit of coverage that you saw from NBC, but WSBN, which had, been really excited about the first one, had 2 or 3 conversations with different people over there in February, and they were just like, we're not really thinking about that right now. We're covering the what were they saying? We're covering the nursing home angle. So that, again, that was back in February. That was 2 months into people getting vaccinated. The people were just getting vaccinated in nursing homes. There was a lot of, spread of the virus in the nursing homes back then. So they were like, those are our COVID stories today around nursing homes. We're not going to do, this vaccine advisory committee thing coverage. Or if we're doing that coverage, we're not putting you in it, So we have to kind of figure out why they want to put us in it. And when I say us, it doesn't have to be me, especially in South Florida. You guys potentially could be in front of the camera. We could do it where Sabah, you could be sending out a press release in Colorado, and you could be contacting local stations and telling them, you know, what you're doing as part of this organization. So I know we've talked about in the past, we have so many higher to-dos at the moment on the list that we're looking at, which we're about to go back to so we can fill in more. But perhaps in the future, or maybe even, you know, for this one, if we can get it all together quick enough, we could create a generic press release that everybody on the team could send out to their own respective schools, you know, and we could even have all the past members send out to their schools or send out to their whatever, the press in their area. And, you know, it's a way to generate even more press. It doesn't have to just be Jared that has the chance to generate press where he can get interviewed, but any student anywhere could get interviewed, you know, fronting what we're doing essentially, right? So again, as the outreach team, I want you guys to keep that in mind. I don't know that we can do much with that this time, but certainly if any of you want to, we can certainly think of ways you can maybe do that. I think, any questions or comments about any of that? I think, you know, we've already gone for an hour and a half, so let's go back and put the tasks in and wrap up with that, and then we'll just continue, you know, in our chats. And maybe as we figure out our windows of availability, because we're going to outline that too, right? So let's do our windows of availability first, and then maybe we'll find a time later today or tomorrow, or let's figure out. Probably sometime later today to get back together and work on some specifics is probably going to be a good idea. Let's go back to where we were and see what, let's just do it one by one. So I'm pretty open for the most part right now. Who has certain, well, we're gonna do everybody. So let's just start at the top. So Mariana, when are you available between now and 11 a.m. on Friday?
So I'm available today, the whole day. I only have the recruitment team meeting at 6. That's the only thing I have. So today I'm available. Tomorrow I have class from 10 a.m. to 6:15 p.m. So yeah, tomorrow, like at night, I'm available, and like early in the morning. So,
like
and
10 to 6:15?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's when you're not available tomorrow?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're available whole day Wednesday, you're not available between 10 a.m. So I'm not sure, well, let's leave it at that for the moment. Well, it actually might be valuable for us to have a meeting tomorrow morning. So again, keeping in mind what we're talking about with the press release is we have to basically send the press release to these news organizations probably by 6 a.m., probably at 6 a.m., something like that. In terms of these early morning times, I'll be up, so you guys don't need to worry about that. But but in terms of like getting things done, we should get them done tonight so that or they're all ready and I can just push a button at those times, right? Okay, so I think that's pretty good for Mariana. Let's go ahead and Maria, what's your availability today and tomorrow?
Okay, so I am like Mariana, like the same whole day Wednesday. And tomorrow I will be available from like 1 p.m. because we have like a group assignment that we have to do on Zoom. But that is everything that I have. That's all.
So you will or won't be available from 1 p.m.
From 1 p.m. I will be available.
So after 1 p.m. you will be available.
Yeah, after 1 p.m.
Okay, great. And Sabah, how about you?
Today whole day I'm planning to give it for the research team. I have to make presentations and.
I'm sorry. Can you share that again? I wasn't following what you were saying, that you have to give a presentation for the research team.
No. I have to prepare for the time I gave. Yeah. So I'm planning to do from today, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
From 3 p.m. Eastern is when you're available?
Yeah, for the research team.
For the research team.
Yeah, okay. I gave my hours there, you remember?
Okay. I'm not remembering exactly which task on the research team are you talking about?
For creating the slides and composing the presentation.
Okay, so yeah. So again, that's yeah, we're not going to break it down in terms of research team, but we're just going to say that's part of the FDA presentation. So that's great. So, but yeah, it's the different part of the tasks, like you're saying, that it's not the task we're talking about right now in terms of the press and that sort of thing. So let's have you give us your availability when you are available for the outreach team. So what
morning?
You only, and just, let me just check, you only have 2 hours that you're going to be available for the outreach team, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you know what those 2 hours will be, or can we see if we can coordinate with when everyone is available?
I can tomorrow morning if everyone is available at the time.
Tomorrow morning. What about later today or this evening?
Yeah, what's the time for today evening?
What time for today? So we're having a recruitment team meeting from 6 to 7. So we could do it at 7 if that works for everybody. You guys want to meet from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern tonight? Does that work for everybody? Let's, just to be safe, let's say 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Does that work? An hour and a half? I'm just thinking that will likely go longer. We can try to keep it to an hour. And let's just really be in touch between now and then. I want you guys to really tell me what you want to see. You know, I'm going to start working on pulling all these pieces together, like the different emails that were sent and the different presentations and all of that. But I want you guys to tell me what you want to see from me, so I can find it and send it to you, and we can use our time most efficiently. I think, can we divide up some of this right here before we go, so that we can have an idea of, how we're going to create the press release, who's going to be working on the press release, and some of those sorts of things. Okay, great. So who would like to lead the presentation? I guess we can all just jump in and start adding your name if you want in the shared doc. Let me share the link just to keep it handy for you. So let's have each one of us log in and just add your name where you want to put your name in each one of these. So while we're doing the sabah, let me just see if I'm understanding clearly. Should we put your 2 hours for the outreach team right here under seeking media attention? We'll say that the other hours that you have in here are all part of, let's say, the research team, if you want to look at it that way.
I included my 2 hours for...
Oh, you included it already?
Yeah, but you can divide it to 1 and 1. Like if you want, do 1 for seeking media attention, and I can do 1 for reaching out to experts.
Yeah, it's up to you. I think I'm going to leave it up to Mariana. I think you already, Sabah, you have a bit of, I mean, you have your attention all over this already with being the lead, one of the co-leaders, and then you're helping to compose the presentation and helping to create the slides. I think, although, as I'm looking at it, I'm not sure with all these other people in here, if we need to have you have 4 hours composing the presentation. That's probably going to be excessive, as is probably 5 hours for Renasia. I think we can probably bring this down to 2. That sound good to you, Sabah? And then you
Yeah.
And then add those 2 hours here.
Yeah, perfect.
And then, okay, great. So you can add yourself wherever you want to in here, Sabah. And then Maria and Mariana, as you're adding yourself, go ahead and also put how many hours you want to put into that part of it so we can make sure that we're adding up all the hours properly.
Jared, I just have one question.
Yes.
Can we attend FDA meeting on Friday just to see?
Yeah, it's open to the public. It's going to be live streamed on YouTube and on other platforms. So anybody can tune in and watch it live.
Okay. And now I have to go get my MMR shot. Can I just get going because I already booked my appointment?
Okay, no worries. Thank you very much, Sabah. We appreciate it. Thanks for all your support and all the great support around this project.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
You're welcome. Awesome. Great. See you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, great. So I think, one of the things that I'm looking at, Mariana and Maria, is I like how you guys are dividing up the hours here. It's good. Selecting the media for contact, I'm not sure if we're going to have that many hours that we need to devote to that, because I already have the local stations that I showed you, the 4 stations, CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox. So I pretty much have the contacts for those 4 stations, as well as some of the contacts for the Sun Sentinel and the Herald. I did talk to one reporter a little bit from the Herald back in December, but he never really got back to me. So there may be some opportunities for you guys to find people at the Herald, find people at the Sun Sentinel. Then the other part of it is the national media. So let me show you again what I did with the national media. So, you know what? I'm going to have to make a video of it because it's going to be so involved. So let me just put it on my list and share that with you guys as a video. But are you guys, when you guys are thinking about selecting media, what's in your mind in terms of what you would be doing and who you'd be selecting and that sort of thing?
So I thought about like selecting media, like selecting the videos that we're gonna like put in the website, or like the files that we're gonna attach in the emails and everything. Okay. I don't know if I'm correct, but
yeah, I really didn't use the right verbiage, if that's what you were thinking, because I was talking about like actually selecting, finding the media outlets and their contact information and that sort of thing. Is that what you were getting, Maria, or were you also getting something different?
Yeah, I was getting that. It's actually, like media, like CBS, no, Yeah, NBC, like things like that, right? Like the contact actually.
Right. So again, in the South Florida market, we have that pretty much done in terms of who we need to contact. I pretty much have their email addresses and names and everything already, and phone numbers. So there's not a lot of work for the South Florida market. Now, if you guys want to go out to the national market, then there's, you know, more opportunities there. Let me just show you again what I did with that. Okay, so here's what I sent the national press on the 17th. So the 17th was when the FDA advisory committee considered the Moderna vaccine. And that was the one presentation that I requested, that I put in an application to speak at and was denied at. The other three have been accepted to. So, but what we did, Dr. Berger, our senior medical advisor at the time, he was presenting that day for Moderna. So what I did was I put together this email. Again, you see where what I did was put together, you know, the content with all of these links, like we talked about. I put in a big graphic of us making our previous presentation, and then shared all this information and then sent it. And I sent this to, I think, about 80 different national media reporters. I actually sent them to the reporters because what we did was we were collecting all of these articles back then, and then we were pulling all of the authors out of it. So rather than pull the experts like we've been pulling in the research team, instead we were pulling the authors out and creating a database of all the authors. And then I went, journalists, I should say, the authors of the articles. And then I went ahead and sent this email to them saying, hey, we're doing this. We thought you'd be interested based on you writing this story, type of thing. So we do still have that database, and we should use that database. So you guys should know that we have that. So we have like these 80 from the New York Times and the Chicago Times and the Houston Times and USA Today, and just on and on. You know, it's just a variety of national and large regional media institutions, organizations. So, so in terms of selecting, there's not necessarily a lot of work to be done there unless you guys want to, you know, find some additional source of like lists of, you know, journalists to send to, or publications to send to, or if you have some ideas of some publications that you want to look up and send to them. So it's just, that's where you'd spend the time here. At the moment, I would say this should probably be like 1 hour each, something like that. Unless you have some ideas, you know, maybe after an hour, you find a whole treasure trove of contacts for us to send to or something like that. But at the moment, let's cut that down to 1, unless you find, you know, something else to add hours in, and use those 3 hours for something else right now. So, and creating the press release, you guys leaving that blank because you just want me to do it? You guys
No,
yeah, I don't know. Sorry, talk.
No, you can go.
That I don't know what that is actually.
Yeah, me too. Like, I'm a little confused about the press release. That's why I didn't put anything.
Okay. So the press release, I'll show you a couple of examples. You know what, again, let me just add it to my list of what I'm going to show you guys, because we need to wrap up this meeting. This is good because these are all the things we should have on file anyways, and you guys should be able to find easily. I think okay, so we have some sample press releases here. Good. So these are some press releases that I've done in the past. So did you see where I found those? So that was in outreach teams, and then under outreach teams, we have press and social media folder. And then under press and social media press releases. And then under press releases, we have sample press releases. And then this is where we have some of the ones that I've done in the past. Uniting for Action and Action for Gun Safety are ones that I did back in 2018. So those are a little older models. And then here's a template we have from somewhere. And then this is just another sample of one that I did also like a couple of years ago. But those give you some ideas of like some more traditional like format. So this is kind of how you normally would like see a press release, is it has this headline, it has the contact information up here, it gives the location and then the date, and then it gives like the information right off the bat, and then gives more detailed information. And then, you know, I added some images and links and that sort of thing. And then at the bottom, I went a little bit overboard because normally a press release wouldn't look like this, but I gave them all the different links of all our different social media. And at the time I was doing Uniting for Action and Action for Gun Safety. And it was more of an advocacy type of thing at the time. And then I gave them all the links to all of the images so they could use our logo with a transparent background, with a white background, you know, so you get the idea that, you know, you're basically kind of like handing a media kit to the press essentially, so that they can do anything that they want with you in their story, that you're giving them like sample photos, like your logo, whatever, you know, whatever, so that in the press release, and you can do a quick Google for, you know, best press releases or something like that. But press release is essentially supposed to be like a 1 to 2 page announcement to a press outlet of what is newsworthy that they should pay attention to. So it kind of gives them all of the information all in one place. And so most of these news outlets are getting press releases like all day long. Like they get, you know, they come faxed and they come emailed and they come mailed and whatever. And so the jobs of all of the editors and everything is to kind of go through all of these press releases and say, is this interesting? No, is this interesting? Is this interesting? You know, and then they find the ones that are interesting, and then they call them, and then they start to see if it's something that they're really interested in. And that's what they did when you saw me interviewed by NBC6 just there. Is what they did was they had one of the producers call me, and she just, you know, was just having a conversation with me, you know, as if, you know, we were just having a conversation. I knew that she was actually, you know, vetting me to see if she wanted to put me on the air. And, you know, we had a conversation. I answered all her questions. I gave her the information, and she was satisfied, like, okay, he'll do, you know, let's get him on the air. So that's kind of the process, right? Is they've got these layers of deciding. So the very first thing that they're going to have any idea they want to have anything to do with us is they see our press release. If we do our press release good enough, if it's compelling enough, then they will actually call us and say, hey, we saw this and we want to get you on, type of thing. Because again, remember, it's a competitive marketplace, right? So if it's something that's really special, if the viewers are going to love it and the competitor has it and then they don't, then it's not good for them, right? So we kind of play them against each other too. I kind of like, hey, I'm talking with this guy over at this station, and I'm talking with this person over at this station, and they're thinking of putting us on then. And, you know, because we want them to not to feel like, hey, we don't want to miss out, like this is important, you know. especially with a whole bunch of us being in South Florida, we have that angle again now. So we can kind of play that up a little bit, you know, and talk about how so many of you guys are from FIU. Do you know what the total is? Have you guys added it up? I think it's at least 5. So it's you two and Renasia and Alexis and Johnny. And so that's 5 already. Is there anybody else? James also from FIU. So that's 6 people on our team that are from FIU. So that's a story right there. And that's also a story. So here's where you guys can spend part of your hour, is you guys can dig into the media at FIU and and send our press release to FIU student newspaper and, you know, those sorts of things, because we got some very good coverage like that at the University of Miami, actually, a couple times. We got 2 stories written about us at the University of Miami in their newsletter. So that's good. Let's see if we can find it. There it is.
I wanted to actually tell you that I have a friend that is actually like in chief of the Instagram of Panther now, which is actually like the news of FIU. He's studying journalism and he's now at Columbia University. So I can ask him if he can actually like help us.
Yeah.
Because that's amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. For sure. Definitely reach out to him. Wonderful. I don't know if I'm going to find it here. I'll add it to the list of things that we're pulling together, but it's good. Why am I not seeing the school? Oh, there it is. No, it's not going to find it. So I'll send it to you later. I'm going to make a note again. Okay, cool. So I think we've covered enough for now. We've certainly covered a lot, especially that we're going to get back together again tonight. So I think at this point, you guys are going to wait on the press release part until I give you more information, and then we'll start to sort out what we're doing with that. But I think do each of you have certain things on? Pull up the sharing again. You guys have certain things, each of you have certain things on the lists that are going to keep you busy this afternoon, that you have items to work on, that maybe we should go over some priorities. Maybe we should do that in the chat. You guys want to do that? You guys want to, like, maybe in the chat, tell me what you think the top 3 priorities are for you to work on, you know, in order on our task list. And I'll let you know if I think you should rearrange the order. And that way you can work on what we agree is the top priorities. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Okay, great. So go ahead and send me those lists of your top 3. I'll reply to you as soon as you can. Send it in the whole chat for the outreach team so everybody can see what everybody's doing. And then we will we'll have you guys working on the priorities. I'll send more information throughout the afternoon and we'll just keep going on. Sound good? Okay, great. I really appreciate you guys taking all the extra time, a whole extra hour now. Oh, Maria, we had talked about spending extra time, but I think we've covered it now, right? Because we were talking about how to allocate your hours and everything.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Thank you guys. I really appreciate all the hard work and dedication and your commitment and your enthusiasm. It's really great. Thank you, Mariana, for really, you know, embracing the role of the leader and being eager to really create results. We're super excited about that. Anything that you guys want to say to wrap up here?
No, I just want to thank you, Jared, for the opportunity, and we're gonna keep working.
Awesome. Yes, my pleasure. I'm excited to share the opportunity with you guys and excited to see what we can do with it. Go team. All right. See you guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.